Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Aquaponics World. Today I'm going to be doing the monthly cleaning. I believe we're at 1 year, 8 months. And I was looking back on my first video to see if I could, actually figure out the amount of time that I've had these fish, because I pretty much do like a monthly cleaning every 4 weeks, and that isn't exactly every month. And so I was looking at the date and timeline that I've had these fish, and I guess my first video that I did was probably about 7 months after I got the goldfish. So, a lot's changed. I've gotten the glowfish since then, but I had the fish tank probably about 7 months before I started my channel. So, we're pretty much right on track right now. So I'm going to try to actually give actual dates, like probably give them a birthday on their 2nd year, or give the fish tank a 2-year birthday, at least, coming up here in about 4 months, 5 months. But yeah, and at that point we'll do the 2nd annual cleaning and stuff like that. So we'll try to do the annual cleanings on a specific date instead of just adding 4 weeks every time to make a month. And I will try to do the monthly cleaning on a specific date, the 3-month, the 6-month cleaning on a specific date. One of the things that I mentioned in my channel is that, in other previous videos, is that it's good to keep a log of what you're doing and when you're doing it, because it gets confusing. You want to do your weekly cleaning, quarter water change outs, and every month you need to do a monthly cleaning, including the weekly cleaning, and every 3 months you have to do the 3-month cleaning, the monthly cleaning, and the weekly cleaning. So it's like you're adding all of these things together, and it kind of becomes confusing. The 6-month, the 3-month, the 1 month, and the weekly. And then eventually you're doing the yearly, the 6-month, the 3-month, and the 1-month cleaning, and the weekly cleaning all on the same day, right? So it's good to just maybe, I suppose I could probably write a date down on this chart that I have right here. And I will go ahead and do that off cam right now. And that way we'll have a date that we'll know, okay, today's the day that it needs to get the 6-month cleaning. And it'll be a specific date that I'll have for the 3-month cleaning and the monthly cleaning. But anyway, today I am going to be doing a monthly cleaning, and as you can see, this big tree here is doing really good. The roots are just barely in the water because the water level's gone down quite a bit. Just evaporation and stuff like that. So, it's got some new leaves on there, so it's doing okay. I'm sure it could use some micronutrients, but I'm not adding any micronutrients to my fish tank. I don't want to give the fish any micronutrients. And at one time I had a 2nd tank for the plants. It just got a little overwhelming, and I'll probably get back into that eventually. But today I'm going to be doing that monthly cleaning for the 1 year, 8 month. And so the first thing that I want to do is I want to remove a quarter of the water. So we've already lost about, almost 1/8 of the water right there. And so like right here would be about half. And I'd say like right about there is a quarter of the water. So I'm just going to take down like maybe a couple of inches, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches of water. And that way I can add some fresh water in. Also, so that's the weekly cleaning, right? Is removing a quarter of the water and replacing it. So I'm going to be doing the weekly cleaning, and I'm also going to be doing the monthly cleaning, which is just checking and cleaning the mechanical foam and rinsing the Biomax and replacing the carbon pad and checking and cleaning the canister inside. So It's tough to say which one I want to do first. I guess we'll go ahead and start off by removing a quarter of the water. I don't know. You know what? No, I think it'll be best to replace the carbon pad. That way when I'm putting the new water back in, I'll be putting in cleaner water and it won't be running through a dirty carbon pad. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and do that first. So the first thing that you want to do when you're working on your canister, when you're doing the monthly maintenance, is you want to shut off your pump. And so the first thing that you do to shut off the pump, let me just double check here my instructions. Start the filter, install the filter. No. Filter maintenance. Drain the filter. Okay, so turn the in and out valves in sequence to the closed position and unplug the pump. So in and out valves closed in sequence. So we got the in and out valves. Here's the in valve, here's the out valve. So we're just gonna close the in valve and then close the out valve. And then unplug that. Okay. Now, I am going to have to disconnect these in order to set it up on a chair. As I've said in previous videos, if you get this Fluval pump, the first thing that you want to think about is that they give you really long hoses, and you have to cut the hoses to the length so that, you know, depending on what size table you have it up on, your hoses are exactly long enough and they aren't like balled up in a ball, right? You want to just have just enough length to make it into the fish tank. So what you do when you first get this pump is not only consider what size table you have and measure the length of the hose to go from here to the fish tank, but you also want to raise up the pump just a little bit, and this is something that I didn't do, and I could probably go back and do it still. I just need to raise this pump up a little bit so that the gravity will allow it to drain out. And if I do that, what I'd have to do is I'd have to recut the hoses again, just make them a little bit shorter depending on what I set it up on. But I don't really have anything right now to set it up on yet that I like, nothing permanent. You know, I have the table for the fish tank, which was a really cool stable table for the fish tank. I love the table, but I need something, a smaller, shorter table underneath the table for the pump. So something to think about when you're buying one of these pumps in a fish tank and you're just starting off is get a little table for the pump, get a bigger table for the fish tank. So the pump is got to be below the fish tank, and the pump has to be above the ground level so that you have a way to drain it. But anyway, there's some buttons on the sides right here. You push this button in and then you can release these hoses. Just like that. And then you can just slide this out and set it up on something. And I have a chair here that I can set it on for right now. So I'm gonna have to do that off cam. Unfortunately, I don't have a tripod yet. I will get a tripod, I swear. Probably get that pretty soon here. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and set this up here on this chair, and that way we can gravity feed the water out of this, because this is full of water, and that way we can open it up and get into it. I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, here we go. So got the pump up on a chair and got a plastic tote down here. So you just take this service hose, put that into this bucket, and that way. Oh, and I was looking while I was off cam, and it was not 8 months. It's we're doing the 1 year, 9 month cleaning. So apologize for that. But like I said, I'll write some dates in there so I'll know what date I'm on. But yeah, so you just turn this service hose valve and it pumps the water out of the pump. And one thing you want to remember when you finish doing this is to close that valve, because when you get all finished and you start filling it back up with the water, it makes a big mess if you leave that open. So it doesn't drain too much water out of there. There's not a lot of water in there. I think it's 2.5 gallons, something like that. But you know, you want to have a tote or something. And so, like I said, if you're just getting this pump and just getting the fish tank, you know, cut your hoses to length to have a table underneath the table. I did not know that when I got this. So anyway, go ahead and close this, and we can reconnect this this hose back up onto these clamps here. And the next thing, of course, is just to unscrew these. They're just hand tightened, and they slide. You pull them this way and they slide out like that. And I just really like to thank everybody that's watching my videos. Really impressed to see 500 people watch the last video. Really glad to have 90, I think it's 96 subs now. Just super cool that everybody's enjoying the videos. I know I'm not the best teacher for this, but you know, I think that doing it as I learn, teaching as I learn, is helping me to show off the mistakes. You know, if I knew everything when I started doing these videos, I would probably forget to show off some of the mistakes that you can make. And if I do it as I'm going, I can see the mistakes that people will make, remember them, they're going to be fresh in my memory, and that way I can just be like, hey, don't do this. Don't do it the way that I do it. Do it how I say it, not how I do it. But the important thing about this is that keeping fish alive is a start to an ecosystem that can produce food. So, you know, the most important thing about growing plants is the soil. And the reason for that being is that there's organic matter in the soil. And that organic matter helps to feed the plants. And so the fish have a natural way of giving off organic matter that feeds the plants, right? I'm not giving the plant any fertilizer at all. The plant is just living off of the fertilizer that the fish give off. And the cool thing about these pumps and the filters is that they actually break down the ammonia, or fish pee and poop. They break down that into a nitrogen that's usable by the plant. So, you know, the plants would live off of the ammonia from the fish, no problem, but it definitely helps that we have this, because there's bacteria in here that are fixing the nitrogen. So it's a really cool system. I mean, not only does it make it easier for the fish to deal with the ammonia levels, but it definitely helps the plant to absorb the nitrogen that's in there. All right, now I am replacing the carbon pad, which is on the second layer. This is the first layer. So I'm just gonna take these handles right here, and I'm going to lift this out and separate it off cam. There's two sections. There's one that's got a carbon filter in it, and then there's this one that's got this filter in it. This is like a sponge filter. So, and you know, in the maintenance, it discusses a mechanical foam and a biofoam, and what I've decided on that is that because you have to replace half the quantity and I only have one of these, that this is definitely not what they're talking about when they say mechanical foam. So I'm just going to consider these the mechanical foam, because replacing half the quantity of these is pretty easy. I take one of them out and I leave the other one, and that way there's some bacteria living in this at all times, you know. And that's one thing when you're getting a new fish tank, is it's really helpful to use some old sponges from another fish tank to start the cycles of life that are going on in there. So, you know, to keep it going, you only take half of it out at a time during the 6-month change outs. But the biofoam, you know, every 6 months you check and clean, and every 3 months you check and clean, and every 6 months you replace it. So every 6 months I'll be replacing this, and every 3 months I'll be replacing this. Every 3 months I'll be checking and cleaning this. Every 6 months I'll be replacing it, and every 6 months I'll be replacing one of these, not two. There's actually 4 of them in total, so I'll be replacing 2 of them. But right now we don't need to worry about that. I am going to check and clean this. So as far as cleaning it is concerned, I'll probably just put it in some water, rinse it out a little bit, just so that it isn't chunky. But yeah, I'm gonna take these handles and pull this out off cam, and I'll be right back. All right, we've got the canister here, the 2 baskets here. So if you remove these handles, you can separate this. Divides into 2 sections, and I guess I can just set this in here for right now. But underneath this basket here is a carbon filter, and I'm gonna have to do that off cam as well, it looks like. Okay, so once you pull this basket up, and you can see there's water in here because it's not getting through this carbon filter because it's so plugged up. So this is the old carbon filter, and we're just going to be replacing that with a new carbon filter. That's part of your monthly cleaning right there. Okay, and let's see, what else do we got to do? Rinse the Biomax, replace the carbon pad, and check and clean the canister. So, let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to grab another tote, and I'm going to fill it up with some water, and I'm going to put some of this water conditioner in it, let it sit for 5 minutes, and that way I'll have some clean water to rinse the Biomax. This is the Biomax, and there's some underneath here as well. Gotta take this basket out, but yeah, there's some right here in the top layer, and there's some there in the bottom layer. So we're gonna rinse both of those out, and then I'll dump this water out of the canister and wash out the canister as well. And then I will be rinsing these off. So yeah, first need to get some clean water to do the rinsing. I'll do that off camera. So to fill up the water that I'm going to use to rinse the Biomax and the pads and stuff like that is I just have a hose that I have connected to my sink. And it's good to have a couple of plastic totes. I also have 2 other fish tanks back there for reserve water. It's good to have a place to put some water, so definitely plan on picking up some totes so that you can put some water in it to clean it. But yeah, I just have this hose hooked up to my sink so that I can fill this up pretty easily. And once it's full, I'll just swap the hose over to this tank over here and go downstairs and turn that water off. And I'll let that fill up. And once that's full, I can add some of this water conditioner. Now the water conditioner is 2.5 milliliters for, well, it's, let me see, it's, what is that, 1 milliliter for 2 gallons. So we're looking at like 5 gallons there. So I'm gonna give it two milliliters of water conditioner for this 5-gallon tote. All right, so as you can see, the cup that the lid of the water conditioner here comes with milliliters on it. So somewhere between 1 and 5 milliliters is what I'm going to use for this. And just let that sit for 5 minutes. And then I will rinse off the Biomax in it, rinse off the filters and stuff like that. I'll be right back. All right, it's been 5 minutes and I've been waiting for the water conditioner to remove the chlorine. Just go ahead and put this lid back on here, and we can rinse off the new carbon pad and the Biomax and these pads. Which I just did a 6-month cleaning a few months ago. So about 3 months ago I did the 6-month cleaning. So these are pretty good. Just want to rinse them off. This other Biomax in here. I am going to rinse these baskets out as well, but I'm going to do that in a separate, after I'm done doing this. Should have kept these separate from the other basket too, but oh well. Fish these out by hand. You know, and I'm not too sure if I'm supposed to rinse this off because I don't know the difference between the biofoam and the mechanical foam, but I'm just going to rinse everything off right now. All right. So just want to basically get all the food and stuff that's stuck on the sides of this off of there. I wish I had a clean basket to put this in. You know, this won't this won't remove all of the bacteria that's in these. It seems kind of silly to rinse them off since I do want to keep the bacteria in them, but they stop working as well if you don't rinse them off. So I'm not replacing them today, but I am going to rinse them off just because I want them to be able to work well. Pull up my sleeve here, reach in here and rinse this stuff off. Yeah, this isn't too bad. that's pretty much good enough right there. And you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this basket out as well in this water here. Because this is part of the canister. It says to clean the canister every month, so I'm gonna consider this as part of the canister. And since I have 5 gallons of water here, might as well rinse everything off all at once. That's better. Let's see. What I'll do is put this Biomax back in there. So it's not too much of a process for the monthly cleaning. It's mainly just rinsing off the filters so that water doesn't get plugged up in them and you're not getting a good flow through the pump. So there's that. And we'll just put this basket in there for a second. And that goes in there. This goes in there. And this sit over here for a second. And I guess rinse this stuff out. I need a third tote for sure. I had a third tote, it got broken. I'll have to pick up another one. That's all right, I'll just dry the floor off when I'm all done here. Just want to rinse this basket out. So yeah, like I was saying, when you're growing aquaponics, you can use the fish waste as a fertilizer for your plants. So, you know, growing hydroponics obviously means that you're not using soil, which makes it a lot cheaper and everything. But when you're using the fish waste for fertilizer, then you're saving another cost right there. So yeah, so these just go back in here. These go back in here. These go in this one. And now all that's left is just draining this water out of this canister and rinsing the canister out. I'm gonna have to do that off cam, but I'll be right back. Okay, so I kind of fell asleep and took a nap all day, and now it's dark outside. But yeah, such is my life. I'm get a day off, and of course I sleep all day. But yeah, so what I was gonna do next is I'm just gonna fill this tote up with some water so that I can rinse out the canister. I dumped the canister out, but I do need to rinse it out, and I don't want to use chlorinated water, so I'm gonna use the hose, fill this up, and put some water conditioner in it. Let it sit for 5 minutes, and then I'm just gonna pour that into the canister and rinse it out. So I'll be right back. Okay, I got that all filled up. I probably should have rinsed this container out, but I'm gonna add our 2.5 milliliters of water conditioner in there and let that sit for 5 minutes. All right, I waited the 5 minutes for this the chlorine to get out of that. I'm just gonna dump that into the canister and rinse that out a little bit. All right, I got this all rinsed out and kind of washed it out with that dechlorinated water. So now all that's left is just to start putting this stuff back together. So I will just put the two baskets together, put the red handles on, and use the red handles to set it back in there. Now that I have this back in here, this time I am just going to rinse this out real quick, and I'm going to fill this back up with some water, add some water conditioner so that I can pour it into here and fill this up. It's about 2.5 gallons, but you want to have that full when you start it back up so that it primes itself. It is a self-priming system, but you want this to be full of water when you start. So I'm going to use some water conditioner and wait about 5 minutes, fill this up, and wait about 5 minutes with the water conditioner to get rid of the chlorine, and then fill that up. Okay, that's full now, and I'm going to add that water conditioner, and again, it's just like a couple of drops. It's a really small amount of water conditioner here, 2.5 milliliters for 5 gallons of water. And that should be enough to fill up the canister. The canister's about 2.5 gallons. So I'm just gonna take this out so it doesn't siphon the water out. But yeah, then I'm just gonna wait 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna add that water to the canister. Okay, I waited the 5 minutes for the water conditioner to remove the chlorine, and now I'm just gonna dump this into here. And I'm gonna fill it all the way up to the top so I can see the water at the top level here, because we wanna make sure this is completely full before we close it back up. Okay, I got that all full, and as you can see, the water level is all the way at the top right here. And this is the part where you definitely wanna make sure that your service hose valve is closed, otherwise it'll be pouring on the ground. So now I just gotta put this back on. And as you can see, it's got one side has a pipe that goes into the hole, and the other side has a connector that connects to the outlet. So this right here is the one that connects to this right here, and then over here you got the part that has the tube that goes into it. So it just goes like this. Set that right on there, and re-snap the fasteners, hand screw those on, and that is your monthly cleaning right there. Not too bad. Still got to do the weekly cleaning, which is removing 1/4 of the water and cleaning the inside of the glass and replacing it with clean water. And same thing as always, you want to make sure that you're using dechlorinated water, not straight out of the tap water. Because the fishies don't like the chlorine. So yeah, they're all just finger tightened. Don't need any tools or anything like that. I mean, with all these fasteners on there, it holds the lid on pretty well. Okay. And then you just want to make sure that you're in. So this is your intake valve, or your intake hose. You want to make sure that that's connected to the in. And this is the one that sprays the water out, so you want to make sure that that's connected to the out. So you just line it back up the way you had it, right there, so that the hoses can reach both of the outlets. So right there in the middle, and then all you got to do is just reconnect those hoses without getting yourself too wet. Alright, so that's why I have a towel on the ground. So these you just put them on there and push down, and they lock themselves into place. They have like a rubber washer, and like I said, that button locks them into place. So you just want to pull up on them, make sure they're connected and they don't come off when you pull on them without pushing the button anyways. And then you're gonna, I believe, plug it back in. I'm just gonna make sure on the instructions here. So, let's see. The utility valve is in the closed position. All top lid fasteners are well tightened. The intake strainer is fully submerged in water. There's at least 1.6 gallons water in the FX4 and 2 gallons for the FX6. Open the in and out valve levers, placing them in the vertical position, and then plug the unit into an electrical outlet. So in and out valve levers in the vertical position. Anybody know what the difference is between vertical and horizontal? I believe vertical is up. Okay, so we're just going to turn these to the up position and then plug it in. Okay, and that'll run for a little bit, and it'll discharge all the air out of there and shut down for a few minutes to make sure it releases all of the air. Some air bubbles will blow into the fish tank, and then it'll start itself back up once it's completely primed. Like I said, it is self-priming, so that's another cool thing about the FX4 flue-vol pump. So like I said, the next thing that we got to do is remove 1/4 of the water. Take it down another couple of inches, 1.5 inches, and put back in clean water and wash off the sides and everything. But I'm going to wait until the pump has had a chance to fully restart, and then I will show you guys the process of removing the quarter of the water. Alright, well, I started this at 10 o'clock this morning, and it is now almost 10 o'clock at night. We got to finish this up. The fish have been sitting without a pump for a while. Well, they got the pump running now, but still got to do this last part. So I am going to drain out 1/4 of the water, and what I'm going to do is just take the service hose, run that out the window, and then instead of the water going back into the fish tank, I'm going to close that and make the water run out the service hose. So I'm going to open that, and the water is running out the window, and we're just going to drain out 1/4 of the water, just like an inch, a couple of inches of water out, because it's already missing about 1/8 of the water. I'd say this is about half, and this is about 1/4. So we're just going to get it down to about right there. And the cool thing about having the pump do it is, instead of having to use a cup or a bowl or something to scoop the water out manually, the power of the electricity running through the pump is actually pumping the water out the window. So it's not even just a gravity fed situation now, it's using the motor to remove the water, because this is a lot of water right here, so it takes quite a while to manually take the water out. And trust me, I did it for a while before I got the pump. But when you have a fish tank, you want to do a weekly water change of a quarter of the water. You don't want to take out all the water, but you do want to replace some of this pea water with clean water, and you want to do that once a week. So let's see. What did I say? This is about half right here, and this is about a quarter. We're almost there, I think. Maybe just a little bit more. It's hard to tell, really. I mean, is there 4 of those in there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's hard to say. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's about a fourth of the water. Okay. So now we're just gonna shut the service hose valve off and reopen the out valve. And we'll take the hose out of the window and connect that back up onto here. And now the last thing that we want to do before we fill it up with clean water is, while it's down, I'm just going to clean off the glass. And so I'm just going to run my hand across and scrub off all the sides of the glass, the bottom, and all the insides of the glass. So I'm going to pull up my sleeve and scrub off all this, scrub off all this glass. And once I'm finished with that, I'll be right back to show off the filling it back up part. All right, got the glass all scrubbed off. Oh, I forgot to clean off the bottom. So you want to clean off all the sides and the bottom. And when you're doing this, you also want to kind of scrub off the bubblers, scrub off the bubbler hoses, all that stuff. But basically, you know, cleaning off the bottom helps to kind of get the stuff on the bottom to go up into the pump, up into the intake strainer, into the filter. So it's good to clean that off as well. You want to try to be careful not to hurt your fishies. And if you have any dead plant material in there, any roots or anything like that, make sure you remove all of that as well. All right, so now what I'm going to do is replace that water with clean water. So that's why I have these big fish tanks in the back for reserve tanks. So I'm just going to fill those up with water. This is a 50-gallon tank. These are supposed to be 25 gallons a piece, but they're more like 15. I'm not too sure exactly how much, but usually about one tank will fill up a quarter of the water. But I'm going to fill one up and then, you know, put some water in the other one just to make sure I have enough, and add some water conditioner, and then we can use the pump to use this service valve to pump the water from the reserve tanks through the filter and then back into the fish tank. So I'll just go fill those up off cam and we'll get back to it. Okay, so the good thing about having 2 tanks is that you can use the hose to fill up one, and once this one's full, you can just move the hose over and fill that tank up while you run downstairs and shut the sink water off. So yeah, so I just use the hose connected to the sink downstairs. Easy way to get the water up here and fill these up. Okay, well I just had a little bit of an accident. Overfilled the first one with water because I was sitting here doing this chart, But I got the chart done. So the yearly maintenance I'm going to be doing in May. That means that the 6-month maintenance will be done in November and May. The 3-month maintenance will be done in August, November, February, and May. And the monthly maintenance I'll do on the 1st of every month. So if that makes any sense, when you're doing these cleaning charts, you could probably do something like this right there in your book. You know, like when you get it, like let's say you get it in May, you just write down that you're going to do your yearly maintenance in May. And then 6 months before that would be November, but you have to do one of these 6 months cleanings at the same time as you do the yearly cleanings, so you also do one in May. So that means you do 2 per year every 6 months. So you do 1 per year in May, 2 per year, November and May. And then every 3 months would mean that you do 4 of them per year. So you do the one in May when you do the yearly, you do the one in November when you do the 6 month, but you'd also do 2 in between in August and February. And then the monthly, you can just pick a day. Let's say you get it on the 1st, so you'll do it monthly cleaning every month on the 1st. So yeah, it took me a minute to kind of figure that out. I hope this helps other people to figure out when to do their cleanings. But yeah, while I was working on that, I started hearing water pouring down from the 2nd floor down to the 1st floor through my floor. So that's not good. Got a towel on that. And like I said, I did just swap the hose out from this one into that one for a second so that I could take some of the time to go down and turn the water off. So that's helpful. But I'm also going to want to probably scoop some of this water out so that I don't make a bigger mess. And I'll just put that in this. And so since these are supposed to be 20-gallon tanks, but what's a quarter of 50? I want to say a quarter of 50 is, well, half of 50 is 25, and half of 25 is 12 and a half. So I want to say these are like 12 and a half gallon tanks. So the reason I'm trying to figure that out is because we got to put the appropriate amount of water conditioner in there. And like I said, for the 5-gallon totes, it was 2.5 milliliters. But for 10 gallons, it's 5 milliliters. So we can just put 6 milliliters in there. And like I said, the cap has the measuring on there. Oh, you do want to shake it up before you use it. And the cap has the measuring device on it, which says 1, 5, and 10. So we'll just fill it up to the 10 mark and just put a little more drop in there. In fact, I'm pretty sure 10 would be just fine. So we'll just fill that all the way up and put that in there. Mix that around and let that sit for 5 minutes. That'll get, you can almost smell the chlorine in the water that comes out of your tap. Now I have really good water, but I would definitely suggest, if you're just starting a fish tank, to go get your water tested. And don't plan on just getting fish right away when you get your fish tank. First thing you do is you get your water tested, find out how your tap water is doing. It may need some things to be done to it before you use it. You may actually need to buy store-bought water for a fish tank. So, but the first thing that you want to do when getting a new fish tank is to get your water tested. And I cover this in another video I titled what to expect when expecting fish. So if you're interested in getting a new fish tank, check out that video, what to expect when expecting fish, and you'll see there are some things to do before you put the fish in the fish tank. So one thing, most tap water comes with chlorine in it, and the fish don't like it, so that's why you use the water conditioner. You can also let the water sit out for 24 hours in the sun, and the chlorine will evaporate. So there's that option too. But if you want to do it in 5 minutes, you just use a little water conditioner and it'll remove the chlorine. But check your water out at the local pet store. You can bring a sample in and they'll test it, and it's got hardness, it's got, so it's either hard or soft water. It's got all kinds of things that they can test on it, pH balance, and you can hope that your tap water comes out like mine, which was just perfect for a fish tank. I got really lucky. I got good water coming out of the tap. They tested it. They said everything's spot on. But even after that, you want to leave that water in your fish tank with the pump running, maybe adding fish food, or you can use kill fish to put in there to kind of get the cycle going, the life cycle, because you need the fish to produce the ammonia to feed the bacteria to break down the ammonia and create a nitrogen cycle and all this stuff, right? So you have to have the filter and the pump and all that stuff running. You can use ammonia. They do sell ammonia at the store that you can just put right into your fish tank instead of kill fish. Or I've heard you can just use some fish food, just add fish food every week. But you want to get your fish tank going for a few months before you put the fish in there, before you ever put any fish into your fish tank. But anyway, I'm going to let this sit for a couple more minutes, and then we will add it back in to the big fish tank to fill this up with clean water. Alright, so I took a little half-hour break there waiting for this water, but we got the water all water conditioned and everything. So I'm just going to take this utility hose, and you want to make sure that the utility hose stays at the very bottom of the tank and doesn't pop out and start sucking in air, because you don't want air in your line. I know there's a way to do this. And I'm not sure exactly how. Oh, I guess I can move this over a little bit. There we go. So yeah, you just want to make sure that that stays at the bottom best you can. And now this time, instead of closing the out, we're going to close the in to stop the water from getting sucked in from the fish tank into the pump. We're going to stop that by closing the in valve and then open the service valve, and that way it'll take the water in from here and put it into the fish tank. So it's now pumping the water into the fish tank, and eventually it will fill the fish tank up. Hopefully this will be enough water here. I have a little bit more over here. But like I said, I took out about a quarter of 50 gallons, which is about 12 gallons. I think there's about 15 gallons in these tanks, something like that. So usually one of these tanks does a good job of filling it back up, but we'll just empty this tank out, and if this one gets empty, we can shut it off, put the hose in here, open it back up, and finish off what's left in there. Just want to make sure that it gets all the way full. One thing about this is that the roots of the plant need to go in the water when it's all done. You don't want to leave the roots sitting out, because right now they're not really even in the water. And you want to make sure that the plant part, the green part of this, is not, and for this one the wood is not in the water. But yeah, this works with any kind of plants, so it's really cool because you don't have to remember to water your plant every day. You just do a quarter water change out once a week. You don't have to add any fertilizer to your plants. So really easy way of growing plants. But you do need to make sure that you keep an eye on the water level, because if there's too much water in here and it starts overflowing, you know, you'll end up with water all over your floor. You also want to keep an eye on this water level, because if this water level gets too low, it starts sucking in air into the line, and then you've got air in there, the pump stops working. So you can break your pump if you don't have water in there and it's not completely full of water. If it starts sucking in air, it actually will mess up the motor on the pump. So you got to be careful on this part. Just keep an eye on it, both the fish tank and your reserve tank. And when you get your fish tank set up, you know, you get your pump. I suggest getting a 50-gallon tank at minimum, just for 1 goldfish, 2 goldfish. You usually want to have a couple of goldfish because they don't like being alone. But I have 8 glowfish in there to keep him company. So Sharky was in there, rest in peace Sharky, but he did not make it. I tried doing it without a pump, without bubblers, and it lasted a couple of weeks and didn't work. I was trying to see if I could do this aquaponics system without electricity, and it did not work. So learned our lesson. But yeah, definitely want to get some reserve tanks for your water so that you can add water conditioner to it, or at least let them sit out for a week to get rid of the chlorine. And this looks like it's going to be a perfect amount of water to really fill it up right here. So, you know, if you have a 50-gallon tank, you get a 20-gallon reserve tank, you should be good. A couple of totes, a couple of plastic totes to rinse out your filters and stuff like that. And that's all there is to the weekly cleaning. So we did the 1 month for the 1 year and 9 months cleaning. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I should have done the 3-month cleaning. I'll do that next week. All right. Anyway, there, the water is just about full. Just a little bit more in there. That'll be completely full. All right, that should do it. So then we just close this service valve once it's full and reopen the end valve. And that's all there is to the weekly cleaning and the monthly cleaning. And since this is 1 year and 9 months, I should have done the 3-month cleaning, which would have been, well, it says I'm going to do it in February. Anyway, I think I might have figured this out wrong. I don't know. We're gonna go with February anyways from here on out. So we'll do this next month. That's fine. But the 3-month cleaning is checking and cleaning the magnetic impeller, the motor seal ring, the intake stem strainer, and the biofoam, checking and cleaning the biofoam. So basically it's just doing some checking and cleaning on the motor stuff. So yes, we'll do that in February. Just like I said, this is going to be my new maintenance schedule. On the first of every month I'll do this, and in August, November, February, and May I'll do this. November and May I'll do this, and every May I'll do this. So obviously every May I will be doing this, this, and this, and this. And every November I will be doing, every November and May I'll be doing this, and this, and this. And then every month I'll be doing that. If you get the idea of that, hope you do. And let's just check and make sure. Now you see the plant is kind of in the water right here. So I just kind of have it like propped up on here. It is attached to a string just to make sure that it doesn't fall in too far. This plant here, the stem is outside of the water because it's rested on this. So it should be okay. It's a little bit wet, but it shouldn't be. No, it can't be too wet because it's it's above the thing. But I just have the roots like basically jammed underneath the middle part there. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. But yeah, you just want to make sure that the roots are in the water, the plant is outside of the water. However you do it, you can prop it up in the middle there. I was trying a technique of hanging it from the ceiling, but that kind of got irritating because the plant grows and I had to keep redoing it. So I'm not too sure how I actually want to do this. Why don't I try it this way? No, that doesn't work. Mostly it's just like a play with it kind of thing until you get it just right. But then the fish come along and mess with it. So this part, you know, is a little bit of work. You definitely got to kind of keep an eye on it to make sure that your roots stay in the water and that your plant doesn't end up in the water. Maybe over here. I hate the fact that it's tied to that rope because I can't really adjust it too much with it tied to this rope. Let's see, what can I do here? Maybe I just kind of want to get this big root in the water somehow. I want to kind of maybe prop it up underneath this middle bar. I guess some of the plant is just going to have to be in the water like it was, but anyway, this plant is just kind of jammed under this middle bar as well. And as long as the plant part is outside the water and the roots are in the water, you're good. So that's about that. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate all of my subs. Appreciate everybody following along with me. Hope you guys enjoy. Keep watching. I'll have more stuff to come very soon. I should be getting some actual food growing out of here and stuff like that. Some more plants, some more. I'll probably do another tote with some plants in it using the water from here. But yeah, and the fish are all really happy. They got a nice clean bowl with plenty of bacteria to break down the ammonia. And yeah, as long as you follow the Fluval instructions, your fish tank will continue to thrive like it is, and the pump will continue to run as well as it does. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.